Hi, and welcome to the Success Path show, where Christian business owners share their tips for success to show you how to succeed more effectively with your kingdom goals. And I am so excited about my guest today, Ryann Dowdy. And Ryann is a sales expert who helps 7 and 8 figure CEOs generate daily sales on demand without more of their time. Now, who doesn't want that? And Ryann is passionate about helping successful business owners take back control of their revenue in their business, in their time, and their freedom. And with her business partner, Kelly Roach, who is also amazing, they're on a mission to free CEOs from the role of salesperson in their business. And before starting her own business, Ryann spent 15 years in the corporate world building multi-million-dollar sales organizations for startups in the digital marketing and advertising space, and went from sales rep to director of sales and has mentored, managed, and trained thousands of sales reps. Ryann's first crack at entrepreneurship was Uncensored Consulting, where she helped hundreds of women get their first clients, leave their day jobs, and take back control of their lives by teaching tried and true sales strategies that are not dependent on social media or trendy tactics. Ryann focuses on the art of building relationships and human-to-human connection. Now, building her second business, she's on a mission to change the lives of CEOs by giving them back their time, financial peace, and the ability to multiply their revenue through a high-performing, empowered sales team. Yay, welcome, Ryann.
Thank you, Violet. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am so excited that you're here as well. And I've heard lots of great things about you. So my first question is, what got you started in this type of business?
Yeah. So I actually spent, again, my corporate career was in sales, as you had talked about. And I wasn't even on my radar to start a business, Violet, until I had my son, who is now, at the time we're recording this, 4.5. I went back to work in my director of sales role and just was like, this is not it. Like, this is not all that life has cracked it to be. I'm not doing this for the next 35 years. Like, there has to be more to it than this. And through networking and talking to people is where my first business came from. Was I kept meeting all of these incredibly smart women who had businesses or wanted to start businesses, and their businesses were struggling, right? They were struggling to sign clients, they were struggling to grow. And I realized there was this huge gap in the market where no one was teaching sales to female entrepreneurs, right? There was a lot of people teaching marketing, a lot of people teaching, a lot of the back end stuff, how to start the business, right? How to become the VA, how to become the social media manager, how to become the bookkeeper, but nobody was telling them like how to go out and sign clients. So that's really where the first business came from. And I became well known for teaching sales. And through that, I kept getting a lot of people asking me to train their salespeople. Like, can I put my staff through your program? Or sales reps would come to us and say, hey, like, is this make sense for me? And at the time, the answer was no. And so Kelly Roach was my business coach, and we were in a coaching session, and I was like, there's something happening in the market. Like, people keep asking for this. I don't think it's part of my program. I think it's something different. And she was like, funny, I keep getting the same question as well. And meanwhile, I was training Kelly's sales team. Like, as a consultant, she had brought me in to train her team. So we partnered and created the academy. And here we are. That literally helping, 6 or 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs build sales teams that allow them to focus on running the business and their sales teams to drive revenue.
Wow. And that is super smart, Ryann, listening to the people that you're serving, and they kept asking for it. So why not give it to them?
Right? Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Super smart. So one of the questions, why are you so passionate about CEOs having high performance sales teams?
Absolutely. I think that this is like, especially when it comes to online entrepreneurship, nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about team, which I know you said we were going to talk about today, which I'm excited about. I'm just really passionate. Many online entrepreneurs I find are impact driven, right? In this case, kingdom driven, right? We started businesses because we have a gift to share with the world, because we want to make an impact, not because we wanted to be salespeople, right? Most people didn't even realize that entrepreneurship was a sales job. So what many people did, if they were leaving a corporate job to become an entrepreneur, is they traded one job for another, right?
Yeah.
They traded that job to now salesperson in their business. And what winds up happening is that freedom that we wanted, that financial freedom, that time freedom, that location freedom, that being an entrepreneur allowed us, it's not attainable without a team to help support you. And if you want to go away for 6 weeks and take the summer off, how does the business grow without you? And so for me, I'm really passionate about the business has to grow without you, or else all you have is a job. And again, if you're cool with that and that's what you want to do, or you just want to create a boutique business where you work, one-to-one with a lot of different people, that's amazing. But many of the people that I meet are kingdom driven, they're impact driven, they want to do big things, they want to impact thousands, and we can't impact thousands one at a time as one individual. It's just not attainable. It leads to burnout, it leads to frustration, and frankly, it leads to a lot of businesses closing because we try to wear all the jobs in our business instead of outsourcing what needs to be outsourced. And sales, I think, is one of the top 3 to 5 things that should be outsourced in your business.
And Ryan, I find that so much in many of the groups that I'm in, is that they're wearing all the hats. And when do you have time, like you said, because a lot of us, we came into entrepreneurship for that freedom, but instead, exactly like you said, you're trading a job, not just for another job, but a job that takes more energy, I believe, more time.
Yeah.
And it takes away from the actual priorities that people have in their lives, and they're not going according to the values that they have. So they do get into burnout. And like I was telling you before, this is kind of a controversy because I follow a lot of experts and gurus, and on the one hand, people are like you, that yes, hire a sales team, delegate. And then there's another set that is like, well, at first, you should know how to do everything. And, because you need to learn how to do every single part of the business. So, can you talk a little bit about that, and also to people's opinion of not having enough money to hire a team when they first start?
So I think to answer your question, like, you have to learn to do all the things in your business. Like, I get that. I understand the sentiment behind that, right? Like, you never want to be held captive by a team or something along those lines. But to me, that just doesn't make sense. Like, there's no reason for me to need to know how to file my own taxes, how to do the bookkeeping, how to build a website. Like, there is no value in me taking my time to do that. So I think I want to have an awareness of it. I want to know what's going on. I want to have my finger on the pulse of the books of my business, but I don't need to know how to do it. Right. So I think there's something to be said for that. But when it comes to sales, we always say that one of the first benchmarks we want our clients to have when they think about hiring a sales team is you should have a proven offer. So yes, you should wear the sales hat in your business first, because you'll never be able to teach somebody else enough information about your ideal client, the problem that you solve, the end result that you get people, if you don't do it first. So that is in sales, we do want you to have a proven offer before you hire a sales team. So you will wear the sales hat in your business. Typically, we see that happening somewhere in like the low 6-figure range, right? Is where we start to transition out of that role as a salesperson, or at least the primary person in that role. So that time we'll see people come in and hire maybe somebody to help them manage their direct messages or help them set appointments, and then they'll run them and close them. And then, we typically see, like I said, at that mid 500 mark to 7 figures is where we see people totally step out of that role. And I think that that's really important. But, having the money to hire a team, it's this catch-22, right? It's like the chicken or the egg. We need the team to do more work, but we need the money to hire the team. And this is where our faith comes in. Right? This is where our faith comes in. If we truly believe that we are led by God to do the work that we are here to do, if we truly believe that God put this on our heart to do this thing, like, why do we not trust him to provide for us in this way? Why do we not trust him to be like, yeah, no, I'm going to hire the virtual assistant. I'm going to hire the bookkeeper. I'm going to hire, somebody to come in and schedule my social media for me, because freeing up that time, freeing up that brain space gives me more time to serve clients, more time to, do the income producing activities. So this is where we have to make that leap of faith, right? There's never going to be the perfect time. There's never going to be the surplus of money that's like, yes, of course I can go hire all the team that I need, right? That's part of being an entrepreneur, is having that faith and being able to be forward thinking in what we do.
So is that what you recommend, that they have a surplus first, or is it okay to put it on credit, or What's your opinion on that?
I'm a credit girl, to be quite honest with you. I know that a lot of people are not, and I think that that's okay. The way I view it is, if you were to start, so we're talking to online entrepreneurs here today, right? But if you were to start a brick and mortar business, like if you were to decide, hey, I want to have a coffee shop, right? You would have to put together a business plan, and you would have to go to the bank and explain to the bank or to the SBA or whoever you're asking for the money what your business plan was, and you would have to borrow that money. There are very few people that have enough cash on hand to be able to rent a building, buy the insurance, reno the building, buy the products, hire the employees, do all the things that go into a business. A lot of businesses are started with loans. Like, that's why small business loans exist. So, but again, we live in this world in online entrepreneurship where the barrier of entry is so low, Violet, that we don't think like that, right? We don't think like that idea of like, oh my gosh, you know, debt is bad. And I'm like, business debt isn't always bad, right? Sometimes we have to leverage that. I built my entire business, I tell people this all the time, on a credit card, because I wanted the cash. I was working full time, I was pregnant, and I wanted the cash in the bank to be able to leave my job. So I was like, how is this American Express line of credit any different than the business loan, right? For my yoga studio, my coffee shop, whatever I'm opening. So for me, I'm totally okay with that. I had invested in a virtual assistant to schedule my social media, like when my business was making a couple $100s a month, because it was something that I hated. It was something I was not good at. And it was something I didn't have a lot of time. So I was paying to get my time back in the beginning. And I was willing to borrow the money to make that happen, because I knew where I could go, because I had faith that where I was going was bigger and better than this. So that's my philosophy. I don't believe in forcing people one way or the other. Like, as part of a sales strategy, we never tell people to like go take out a loan or put it on a credit card, right? But there are so many things that we're willing to take out loans for, right? Like cars, like our cell phones, for crying out loud,
right?
like our college education with no guarantee of ROI. So there's a lot of things we're willing to borrow money for, but for some reason, when it comes to a business, it's like, oh no, I can't possibly. So for me, I like to think of business debt. That's what it is. It's business debt. Like, it's not just me like buying things I can't afford on a credit card. It's me building a future for my family. And if I have to invest in that, and that comes out of a line of credit, then that's how it's going to happen. And that's what happened to me.
Those are such great points. And I love how you view that, and that we can buy back time. And also, you know, hey, if this was a brick and mortar business, it would be so normal to go out and get a small business loan.
Absolutely, it would. Yeah, if you wanted to start a trucking company or a painting business, you would borrow the money to buy the truck and do the things and hire the employees. Like, it would be a very normal thing to do.
Yes. And since a sales team is so important, then what mistakes have you seen that most companies make when hiring salespeople?
Ooh, this is a great question. So there's a couple of things that I see. First and foremost, I see people get really hung up on experience, right? Like, I got to find an experienced salesperson. I got to find an experienced salesperson. And I'm not discouraging you from trying to find an experienced salesperson. I think that, I mean, it's great if you can find someone, but I'm really big on hiring more for attitude, for people who are a good fit culturally in my business, for people who believe in my mission and vision, than I am needing somebody that has a lot of experience. And this actually like handcuffs people for a long time. Like, they will wait months to hire a salesperson because they can't find anybody with any experience in their industry or in their business, when really, yeah, that'd be cool if we could find them, but it's not always 100% necessary, right? Think about it. When we started our businesses, we all started as newbies. We didn't have any experience. We just figured it out, right? So if we put the right training in place, if we put the right things in place for that person to be successful, we don't need to be, you know, too worried about experience. Because in my personal experience, good salespeople, they're employed and they're expensive. So finding somebody who is, you know, again, a super fan of you and your business to help you grow it is always a really great place to start. So that's the first thing. And the second thing with salespeople, I don't know why we do this, Violet, but we don't have great training for salespeople in businesses as entrepreneurs. We don't create a lot of resources for them. I always say that, like, everybody always tells us we should have like systems and process, or like SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures for everything in our business. But like, that never really like trickles over to sales, right? Like, sales standard operating procedures in your business. And how is this person going to come into your business and take over what you've been doing to help drive revenue? So again, we think that like salespeople are these unicorns and we're just going to hire them and they're going to go sell things for us and it's going to be great. But they need the same level of training and support as any other role in your organization. So those are like the two big ones, getting really hung up on the experience piece and then not having the resources in place to help that person be successful.
Yeah. And about selling, how is social selling different from traditional sales?
Yeah. So I think it's really not that different. To be honest, it's just that we're leveraging social media as a sales tool, right? I always say, like, in traditional businesses, there's inside sales, there's outside sales, and now there's social sales, right? So it's just what tool are you leveraging to get in front of people? The advantages of social selling, I think, is when we leverage social media as a sales tool, we have access to way more people, right? There's billions of people, literally billions of people on the internet that we can talk to. And then number two, we have access to so much more information. So when I started my sales career a million years ago, selling radio advertising in Orlando, Florida, like, we didn't have any information. Like, we just went out and, like, we cold called and pulled doors and sent emails, and we were like, maybe that's the right person for us. Maybe that's the right person for us. But we didn't have any information. Social selling now allows us to target our ideal client, like, super specifically, and start conversations intentionally with those people. And because of what's shared on social media today, we're able to find that connection point a little bit easier as well, right? So I love social selling for that reason, because it's about connection, because that's what social media is about. And it also saves us as business owners and salespeople from wasting our time on the wrong people, because we actually have access to the information that we need to say, hey, this person is my ideal client, or hey, this person is not.
So do you believe that selling on social media is better than actual in-person sales and the traditional way of doing networking?
I think it's a both and, not an either or. I think that if you have the resources, it's all of the above for me.
Yes.
Right? Nothing can replace human to human connection, right? Getting belly to belly with somebody and having that conversation. My first clients came from in-person networking, Violet, right? Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that, what I think we learned with the pandemic really taught us from a big business perspective is that, like, we don't have to get on an airplane every time we need to have a conversation, right? Like, we can do a lot of what we need to do via social media. So I don't think it's a better. I'm not an either or. I think it's a both and. If what you're doing is already working, if you have an in-person strategy or even a cold calling or an email strategy that's working well for you, don't stop doing it. It's add in this social media piece. See if we can get in front of more people. See if we can make our cold calling and our emailing strategies, a little bit more effective, right? Can we close more business? Can we increase our conversion rate by adding this in? So I don't think any of it is better, as long as it's all focused on solving problems and building relationships. I think you're in good shape.
So even though we went through this whole year, this pandemic, this everybody being at home, everybody being on Zoom, some people are still not convinced that technology is the best or one of the best ways to market. But so what would you say is one of the secrets of building relationship and human to human connection over the internet, over this piece of equipment right here?
Yeah. I don't know how, like, if somebody's not convinced yet that, like, social media is the wave of the future, I don't know if we're ever going to convince them. But for me, it's finding common ground, right? And we're very fortunate in our world that it's our faith, right? It's very easy to have a conversation with another believer because we have that shared common ground. So for me, leveraging social media is about finding that common ground, right? Is it your faith? Is it that you're both parents? Is it that you're, I live in Kansas City, that you're a Chiefs fan? Is it that, like, what is that common connection that you can find? And I think social media allows us to find it ahead of time. Like, I can look at somebody's profile and be like, oh my gosh, and I can start a conversation on shared common ground.
Oh, that's awesome. So Ryann, you're super successful now, doing amazing things, but you probably face some obstacles along the way in your business. So what are some tips that you can give to the audience, to the viewer out there that is struggling, that is facing obstacles? How did you overcome those?
How do you overcome the obstacles? For me, I mean, a lot of it is faith, right? A lot of it is prayer. But a lot of it was, making the scary investments. I've had a coach, a one-on-one coach, since the beginning of my business. Like, I've always had somebody to go and talk to work through the obstacles. So for me, that was never trying to do it alone, right? Like always finding, whether it was a business coach or a mindset coach or one-on-one support or group support, always having mentorship, never trying to figure it out on my own. That has been a really big one for me. But a lot of it is figuring out, what can I learn from this obstacle, right? Like if I feel stuck, like, okay, I can look around and I can feel stuck, but what am I learning here? Like what is the good here? What am I learning in this time period? So I think we all face obstacles. I think that actually that is the difference between success and failure. True failure is that, successful people they don't view the failures as failures. They just view them as part of the process, right? Like the word obstacle in general, like doesn't give me warm fuzzies in my body, right? Like I like to think of it was a learning opportunity. I tried a way that didn't work. Okay, so I'm going to try a different way, and I'm going to keep trying until I find a way that does work. And for me, I think it's when we quit off the table, right? When it's like, I'm going to figure this out no matter what. I'm willing to do this wrong over and over and over and over again to achieve, what's important to me or what I feel like God put on my heart. And that's really all we can do.
Yeah, so true. Well, Ryann, it's almost time for us to wrap up. So I want to make sure that we let the viewer know that you have an offer. It's the free metrics tracker. So why is it absolutely imperative that the viewer download this?
Absolutely. So numbers are tracking our numbers, tracking our metrics, knowing how to create predictability in our business is one of the most freeing things in the world, right? So this metrics tracker that we give you guys is, what are the tools, like what are the sales things I should be tracking? So I know the exact activity that I need to create sales in my business. So if you're not tracking this is not a way of, most people aren't, right? It's like the least sexy part of business is tracking our numbers. But once we know our numbers, we can create predictability and process inside of our business. So it's a simple tool. It's a PDF. It is not fancy, but once you start doing this, then you'll be able to see where the gaps are in your business, so you can create that predictable revenue. So you can be in a position to bring on a team and pull yourself out of like salesperson in your business.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. And we'll go ahead and put the link down in the description. So be sure to get that freebie out there. And Ryann, how can people connect with you on what's your favorite social media platforms?
So we love Instagram. We're at Social Sellers Academy on Instagram. I'm also an open networker, so you are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'm Ryann, Ryann with 2 N's, Dowdy. Our website is dailysalesondemandforceos.com. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you're so open and that you're willing to connect. So I guess this is one thing that I ask my speakers is there anything that Holy Spirit is telling you right now to encourage some of those viewers that are struggling, that are wondering, God, am I on the right path? Should I even continue toward these dreams that I believe you put in my heart?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I always share is, if God put it on your heart, there's a way to make it work, right? It's our job to find the way. And like I said, it's to stop viewing obstacles or setbacks as that and just view them as learning opportunities and really lean into, God has a plan. Like, he put this on my heart. He wants this to, he wants this for me. Now it's my job to go figure out the how. And, to trust that God will put the right people in our path, to trust that he will, the right opportunities are available to us, and to be open to looking and listening for those things.
Yes, definitely. Well, Ryann, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And to the viewer, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit the subscribe button below, and share this episode with people, because I believe, personally, I believe, Ryann, when she says you need to hire a sales team because your time is important. That's one of the precious commodities we have. Our sanity is important and our values are important. So thank you for being here, Ryann, and thank you, viewer. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Violet.